Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. Southampton 2, Manchester United 2. Is anyone surprised by this result? It could have been worse. Manchester United were 2-0 down within the first 10, 15 minutes. And then Rashford was brilliant. And for all those people hating on Rashford, this lad is a fantastic young player, but he's had the confidence drained from him. So Lukaku made it 2-1, and then Herrera equalised to make it 2-2. But at the end of the day, we're talking about Southampton here. Third from bottom Southampton. Again, we struggle against a very, very poor side, and we make a poor side look really good, like we did with Derby in the League Cup as well. And I'm not saying Derby a poor side, but, young boys. Again, we made young boys look good as well. It's just ridiculous. How long are we going to have to suffer this black cloud that is Jose Mourinho? His team selection was outrageous. I don't know why McTominay was playing. He claims that we had a lot of injuries. We only had one centre-back available. This is what I think. We've got Arsenal and Liverpool coming up, right? And I think he's holding players back. I don't think the players he said are injured are actually injured. But that could just be my paranoia. Too many years of watching the X-Files. Do you know what I mean? Listen, we come back 2-2. In the second half, again, we're lethargic. Southampton are the better side. It doesn't make sense. And there has to come a time where you say, you've got to give it up, Jose Mourinho winners, and stop blaming the players or everyone else or the fitness guru or the person who puts the turf out. Jose sets his team up, and it always ends up the same way. The performances are not really changing. We've had a couple of good ones, like the Chelsea one, but the reality is here, it's the same thing. We start slow, we come back. It's like we have to be behind to do anything, and you can't carry on like that. And I know under Fergie we were famous for coming back, but that wasn't from bad performances. We just got a bit unlucky and conceded goals, and then we come back. But listen, there's no future in Jose Mourinho. We know that. You know that. I know that. I don't really know what to... Although we did have a bit of fun, didn't we? Even though it was at an expense of our own player. Lukaku was viciously tackled by a football. Yes, a football. Where was the ref when he was tackled by that football and he fell to the floor? I'm joking, of course. Yes, Lukaku tripped over a ball. It was absolutely ridiculous. And me and some fellow United fans had a laugh about that on Twitter. I'm Movies TV Man on Twitter, by the way. And I don't just talk about United. If you look at my album here, I talk. If you're into DC or Doctor Who or any TV and film, I do a lot of talking. But anyway, that was just a shameless plug. But yeah, so really the team selection is odd and again erratic. And again, he complains about not having the cash to buy a centre-back. He spends over 50 million on Fred and hardly ever plays him. What's going on? How can he keep on moaning about not being backed when he doesn't play the player he spent money on? Doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense whatsoever. So it's another bit part performance. Pogba was absolutely terrible tonight. I love Pogba. He's a great player. I love the Instagram posts and all of that. But the reality is he hasn't really been pulling up any trees since he's arrived here. He's been very inconsistent. Half of that is the manager's fault. But, at the end of the day, he cost us 90 million and he has not. And I know his supporters are going to kill me in the comments. He has not been worth it. And I do not have an agenda against Paul Pogba. But the thing is, he's just not playing very well. You look at him and you just think, do something. And there was a terrible moment as well in the game where he nearly cost us a goal as well near the end of the second half. It's depressing. Even when we come back 2-2, I wasn't dancing in the room. Ridiculous. And for any United fan now, no matter if you're Jose in or out, you must be feeling really depressed right now. This is not what we want. And of course, when he does kind of the press conference, it'll be full of excuses, calling his team brave, citing injuries as an excuse, and I don't agree in the slightest. This man is an incompetent fool and he must be removed from our club immediately.